Hi everyone, Emulacrum here. Welcome to our news roundup, where I summarize some of the major and minor news that caught my attention in these days. Let's start with the small controversy surrounding the physical release of Doom: The Dark Ages. Essentially, the issue is that the physical editions of the game contains only a small amount of data on the discs, requiring users to download the majority of the game. This means bad news for those that wanted to put in the disc and play already. But it's even worse news for those fans who value physical media for offline play or preservation. This is not the first instance of a game that does something like this, with other cases like Indiana Jones and The Great Circle did something similar, but every time we see these practices, it call into question the issue of preservation. In Doom's case, the issue would be if 30 years from now, the server from which they download the game is shut down for good. This reminds me of the situation with the campaign Stop Killing Games started by Ross from the channel Accursed Farms. Let's have JoshStrifehayes explain it far better than I ever could.
What is my take on the Stop Killing Games initiative? I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think Ross is doing a really good job. The idea essentially is, if a company are going to make a video game, many people are going to love that video game. And in the future, that company might not be able to maintain support for people to enjoy the video game. If the game requires a download, there may not be download servers for it. If the game requires connection to a server, there may not be servers hosted online for it. And the initiative is basically saying, make it possible to play these games once the companies have stopped providing an official way to play them. We're not asking for ownership of the games. We're not even asking for the ability to monetize them. It's not a case of, hey, you've finished with your game, now let me make money from it. It's a case of, right, you no longer want to pay the cost to maintain your game, that's fine. I would like to host a private server for it and allow my friends to play it, which is great. When you think about Stop Killing Video Games, I've got a Sega Master System. Classic old original Sega Master System. If I plug that into a TV that can take it, put a cartridge in, I can play the game. I've got a PlayStation 1. You put a CD in, you can play the game. Purchasing those games did not give me copyright exclusive holder rights to them. It didn't make me the owner of them. What it did give me was the ability to play them for as long as I have the hardware and the software needed to play that game. The Stop Killing Games initiative is essentially saying, hey, once the company that make the game and owns the game and has made money off the game, once you stop supporting it, give support to give the community the ability to support it themselves, which is fine. Like a personal example, Otherland. Have any of you seen the saga I did where I played the MMORPG Otherland all the way to the end? The end that existed there. I was only to play Otherland because I was able to download the files from Steam and there was a server being hosted. That game is now offline. Forever. You can't play that game anymore. You can't log onto the server, you can't get the files. Will it ever be playable again? Probably not. Because who owns the game? Well, it's kind of caught up in a legal battle between whether it's owned by the original developer, the host of the server, the person that wrote the books. It's an absolute legal nightmare. But the loser isn't the legal rights holder. The loser is the person who says, hey, I'd like to play Otherland. The loser is the person who says, hey, I'd like me and my friends to play WildStar. The loser is the person that says, hey, wouldn't it be cool to get a 5-person group together and try and run through Terra? The loser is the person that buys The Sims that requires an online download for it and then can't play it. Here's an interesting fact. I think it was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. It's one of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games. But I think it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. When you purchased the disc for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, is that the correct one? The disc contained the first level of the game. And when you put the disc in, what it then did was download from a server the rest of the game. And the reason they did this was because they weren't able to get all of the data printed to the disc in time. They didn't have everything ready for the print date of the disc. So instead of delaying the game, they printed what they had on the disc, effectively the first level, and then they gave the disc the ability to connect to a server to download the rest of the game. That server is now offline, which means if you purchase, even secondhand, the disc of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, you will get the first level and then nothing else. you can't download the rest of the levels, you can't download the game, because the server that it will connect to is offline.
Let's leave it at this for now. As you heard, there is this huge issue with preservation in gaming, and the Stop Killing Games campaign aims to push EU legislators to address just that. If you are interested in hearing more from Josh, as usual, links to the videos and other relevant information will be in the description. And, if you are an EU citizen and want this pro-consumer campaign to succeed, just go to stopkillinggames.com and follow the instruction to help us preserve games that otherwise would just be lost. No pressure, but while I made the example of the servers for Doom shutting down in 30 years, there are plenty of examples of games whose support get discontinued even in less than 2 years. Now, another issue with Doom is also the presence of the DRM software de novo. This software aims to stop those that would crack and pirate the game, a legitimate concern for companies that spend hundreds of millions on AAA titles development. The issue is that de novo specifically creates a series of issues in the game's performance that, while not so noticeable on high-end hardware, will impact those playing on less powerful rigs. Of course, this issue affects only PC gamers, so console players rejoice. There have been those that would claim that de novo causing issue is all alleged or fake news, but there are already practical examples, like with Resident Evil Village, where games perform better when de novo is removed, to the point that the companies themselves sometimes remember to do a pro-consumer move and remove it. As mentioned, this is what happened with Resident Evil Village, but I want to make clear that the game was cracked in just 1 month and Capcom removed de novo 2 whole years after release, meaning that those that pirated the game enjoyed better performance up to 11 months before those that had purchased it legally. Moving on. Another troubled release, despite the game only coming out on the 11th of June, is the one of StellarBlade. PC players have been waiting with excitement to be able to play as Eve and experience the game with the host of new features and upgrades, of course, together with the opportunity to mod it into oblivion. Unfortunately for them, they were blindsided by discovering that the game will be region-locked, like similar games like Helldivers 2, God of War Ragnarok and The Last of Us 2. This basically means that gamers in up to more of 130 countries will be completely unable to purchase the game. To add further salt to the wounds, the game will also launch with de novo, just like Doom: The Dark Ages. The official account of StellarBlade on X tried to quell people's concerns by stating that they are discussing with Sony in regards to the region lock issue and that de novo will not tank the game's frames per second, as you can see on screen. They also added that linking a PSN account to the game will be completely optional. Personally, I guess we will have to wait and see. My recommendation is to not pre-order and to not buy the game on day 1 but wait at least 1 or 2 weeks in order for any further issues to be ironed out through patches. Still, I will never create a PSN account, so if the game locks certain cosmetics behind one, I will not purchase it at all. It's a practice I find disgusting and I will not support it in the least. But that's just me. Lastly, we have the huge scandal about Bungie's Marathon, whose art style seems to have been ripped off the artist Anti-Real, whose artworks have been around long before anything of the game was shown. The person behind the account made it public and people have been quick to acknowledge how some of the artworks were put into the game with barely any changes. While some people expressed their doubts, a lot more expressed themselves in support of the artist and, in a recent stream, Bungie itself, specifically the art director Joseph Cross, acknowledged the plagiarism of Anti-Real's designs, basically erasing any doubt. Here is the clip.
It came to our attention that an artist who worked on Marathon took elements from a graphic designer without permission or acknowledgement and placed them on a decal sheet that was then checked in 2020. The decal sheet included icons and text elements. These elements ended up in our alpha build, and there's absolutely no excuse for this oversight. And we are working on and 100% committed to our review process to ensure instances like this don't happen again on Marathon or at Bungie.
Cross also stated that the person who committed the stealing was a former employee at Bungie, but, naturally, a lot of people are not buying that. This is just the latest issue that they have been having with Marathon, which had a closed beta that lost a ton of players and was quickly overshadowed by Arc Raiders, another extraction shooter that seemingly was much better received from players. Some are already expecting Marathon to be a Concord-level failure, but I'd rather be optimistic for them. I hope their game turns out good, even though it is undeniable how bad every single thing seems to be going for now. I want to leave with a small bonus that seems to be developing into something bigger. I'm talking about the situation with the AI Darth Vader in Fortnite. If you didn't know, a few days ago, Epic Games added Darth Vader as an ally in Fortnite with a spin AI that allows players to speak directly with the character in question that will respond to them in character. This addition as usual led to some unexpected results. Just have a look.
How can you say the sequels don't exist? I agree, they're terrible, which amuses me too, but shouldn't you not feel that way since Disney's so powerful?
Powerful, perhaps, Master Chief, but I'm not swayed by corporate agendas. Disney. That the sequels are subpar. Universally acknowledged. Should I feign enthusiasm for mediocrity?
This clip was from the user Cyael, which is also a content creator on YouTube. You will find a link to his channel in the description. As you can see, players have been able to get the AI to say basically whatever. From dubious pronunciations of words that get a bit too close to the N-word, to harsh statements against Disney and the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, and of course a whole bunch of memes. I am sure the devs are scrambling to patch out all the possible triggers for the more controversial sentences, which is a damn shame, but it is understandable given the younger audience that the game has. But, I mentioned that the situation was getting bigger. That is because SAG-AFTRA is moving legally against Epic Games because Fortnite chose to replace the work of humans with AI technology. Unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. It will be interesting to see how this develops, but after seeing what SAG-AFTRA tried to do with non-unionized VAs, I want to see them lose this. Though, I will need to better check what is at stake here. And this is really everything for today. As usual, if you liked the video, please do leave a like, maybe comment, and, if I might persuade you with my honeyed words, even subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Again, you will find all relevant information in the video description, including links to videos and creators featured in this video. I thank you again for your time and for listening, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.